Hello and welcome to our review of the Apple Watch. Now, the reason this review is a few days late is because the watch crashed on us. When we first booted it up and tried to pair it with an iPhone, it crashed. And then it crashed again, as you see in the top left, and again, as you're about to see, and again, you're going to see yet another sample after that. Now, we don't know whether this is because of the processor on the Apple Watch being slow. You'll see throughout this review how cumbersome the watch can be to use. But the main problem we had was that the Apple Watch app on the iPhone crashed when we tried to sync it up for the first time. It was pairing the two devices for over 30 minutes and then it simply crashed. Now, this is a major problem considering you need this application to pair the devices, and the application on your iPhone is just like the settings app. It can't be deleted. So we had to restore the entire phone to get it to work. And now the reason that you want the Apple Watch app is because, as you can see, it lets you do a lot of stuff on here. It lets you easily organize the apps. It lets you install and uninstall apps. So it's a bit of a complicated procedure to do that. It took a little bit of figuring out. For example, the Uber app, if you want to delete it, you can either delete it from your phone or you can delete it from here. So if we turn it off, it will say uninstalling. Now, if you want to reinstall it, you have to go back here. It will always be here. You have to install the app from the on your iPhone from the application setting, and then you can turn it on here, and you can see it says installing. It'll take a few seconds, and then it will install the app onto your phone. So that's the reason that we really needed this application to work, and the review took a while to come out. Is because it just caused it's weird. You buy an iWatch and you end up having to restore your phone. How that ended up happening, I do not know. But we'll come onto the app in more detail in a minute. So the watch itself, we have in our hands the Sports Edition black one, which is by far the best-selling one for Apple at the moment. The strap does have a nice rubberized feel to it. Could feel a little bit cheap and tacky. But then again, the price of some of the straps are in the hundreds of pounds. I saw a strap that I liked. I asked at the store. One of the straps was £160. One of them was £210, which is just borderline ridiculous price to pay for a strap. As far as the phone itself goes, let's take a look. You have the digitizer button on the side here, which is mainly used, if we unlock the phone, which is mainly used to go back to the home screen. So it's just slowed down a little bit. We'll go into more detail about how slow this is to use, can be to use. There we go. So if you press this, it always brings you back to you can toggle between the watch and the home screen, and you can use it to zoom in and out. Or say you're in an application that has text. Let's go and start the BBC News app. Applications are pretty slow to run on this compared to what you're used to on your iPhone. So here's just an example. Here's an app called Shazam. You use it to pick up songs that may come on the radio or when you're in your car, and you can see what the song is. The app took so long to open up on most occasions that I thought I'm just going to miss the song. So I ended up taking out my iPhone because it can just be slow and cumbersome. So as you can see, the apps are very, very basic, but that's another. I'm just showing you what the digitizer is for as well. You can scroll up and down with the digitizer in applications, or if you're reading messages and so forth. And this button on the side here always brings you back to your phone directory, and you can go ahead and you can just call someone from here. Now, you'll probably wonder why that light just switched on. That's the heart rate sensor. Oh, let's not call this person. It's really late. Okay, so basically this button always brings you back to your phone directory. Now, the good thing about this watch is you can actually use, it's got speakers and it's got a mic on the side as well. You can actually use the watch to make phone calls, which is pretty good, and it works pretty well as long as you're in a quiet room. If not, it doesn't have very good microphone that can differentiate between your voice and background noise, and it was next to useless when I tried to make a call while I was on a run. I tried to speak to someone holding the watch up to my mouth. Now, the interesting thing is, if you get a call, you can answer it with a watch and you can pass the call onto your iPhone. However, if you start a call on your iPhone, you cannot pass it onto the watch. You can only pass it from the watch to the iPhone, which I found a bit odd, but There we go. So the watch itself, when you start off, if you, just at this point I'd like to say, if you want to actually take a look at the unboxing and what comes in the box, comes with more than one strap, you can go ahead and click here and just check out the unboxing video here. And now the watch itself, now it doesn't come with too many pre-installed apps, and the first thing that I've done is I went to apps that I use on my phone a lot, for example the BBC News app, and this is something that really annoys me about this watch, and that's, if you take a look, we've got a story here. Right, and the whole point of the watch is you don't need to take your phone out all the time. Now this has given me about 8 lines of text, and it says read more on your iPhone. I'm not sure if you can see that on the bottom line. It says read more on your iPhone. Well, if I wanted to read on my iPhone, I would have taken my iPhone out of my pocket and I wouldn't have bought an iWatch. It's pretty annoying how many apps actually do that. They'll give you a tiny bit of information and they'll encourage you to get your iPhone out to read more, which is, yeah, that really bugs me. Another thing that you'll notice, it might do it now. Let's open up the CNET app. And again, it's pretty slow. You know, the iPhone application is really zippy, especially for basic stuff like CNET. Now I'd like to point out that a lot of applications on this watch are crashing. This device really feels like I've purchased a beta item, because the first 4 times I opened the CNET app, it crashed. The first time I turned on the watch, it caused my phone to crash. And now I feel like I own a beta product, because the amount of applications that crash on this or freeze is just, it's not really acceptable, especially when you're charging over £300 for a watch. Again, as you can see from the CNET app, it gives you very, very little information, and you're encouraged to take out your phone to use the full app, which just baffles my mind. Why would you release a product, charge over £300, which is supposed to save you the convenience of taking your phone out, and then pretty much anything you want to do, it asks you to take your phone out? I mean, there's an application on this, I don't have it installed at the moment, called Keynote, and it literally lets you go forward 1 slide at a time. There's nothing else it lets you do. If we go to, say for example, let's go to Skype, and let's just wait for that to boot up. I believe we may have had a crash. I mean, at the moment I'm at a stage with this watch where I would rather just take my phone out, because I know I won't have to mess about with stuff like this. Skype application has crashed, so bear with me while I restart it. Yet another issue I had a lot was that it kept saying I should move my phone closer, even when I was resting the watch directly on top of the phone. Only happened a couple of times though. Okay, let's try again. The activity monitor has come up, telling me that I need to be moving. Okay, so the Skype application is not really working, so I can't show you that at the moment, but I'm glad it happened, because you'll realise just how often stuff like this happens on the iWatch, which is very, very annoying. Now, what I was going to say about the Skype application, it doesn't let you actually instigate any calls. It lets you send the most basic of messages, smiley faces, and read messages from other people. It doesn't even let you make phone calls. Kind of makes you wonder what they were thinking. The Amazon application only works with the US store at the moment, and it's also very easy to accidentally order things. Other than that, you've got Passbook in the UK. It only seems to work with Lufthansa. So unless you've got a flight with Lufthansa, now a lot of the other airlines do have flight applications. Don't worry too much about that. Night running I found to be pretty good, but a very basic version of what's on my iPhone. And the problem I have with this is, it would have been nice to be able to take this out and not have to take my iPhone as well when I go for a run. I mean, it's supposed to save you space and time, but the problem we have is that this thing doesn't keep a GPS track without your iPhone present. So when you're going for a run, you're going to have the problem of, if you take just your watch, you're not going to be able to track exactly where you ran. And it's a brilliant app on the iPhone, because it lets you see at what stage you sped up, at what stage you slowed down, whereas on this we have the problem of, you know, you have to have your iPhone or you're just going to get, you know, how far you ran and your heart rate. And that brings me on to another thing as well. The heart rate monitor on this is highly inaccurate. I have a heart rate monitor that attaches to my chest and to my iPhone via Bluetooth. Now I've stopped and taken my heart rate, taken my pulse myself, and I can say the one which straps around your chest, it's made by Polar, that heart rate monitor is always within 1 beat of what I'm measuring. This goes way, way off at times. I mean, sometimes it tells me my heart rate is at 54. Sometimes it tells me, like, I can start running and within a minute it will tell me my heart rate's at 145. When I know for a fact I've just, I'm literally warming up. I haven't even started running yet. So yeah, the heart rate monitor on this is inaccurate. I would say it's within 10 to 15 beats. Now, the next app we'll take a look at is the Activities app. Now, this is a pretty good app. It lets you know 3 things, which a lot of people, I can imagine a lot of people will get onto this application. It's a very good app. You set goals, you put in your weight and everything in your actual phone, or you can do it on here, and you set goals. It tells you how many calories you've reached, what your goal is for the day. It actually prompts you to get up and move with the haptic feedback, which is the little tap thing that Apple say it gives you on the wrist. It doesn't feel like a tap on the wrist. It feels like your mobile phone is vibrating on your wrist. It just feels like a vibration. So yeah, haptic feedback just feels like a vibration to me. It lets you know how many minutes of exercises you've done and how long you've spent standing in the day, which is, it's a pretty useful app to have. One thing you can do as well, it's worth noting, if you go to your watch, if you swipe up, you've got glances, which lets you quickly glance. We've turned on the heart monitor so you can see the lights come on, which lets you quickly glance at the apps that you want pre-installed on here. So you can have just a basic silent mode, easily put it on silent. I've got on here Shazam in case I want to listen to a song. Now, in terms of music, you can control the music on your iPhone with this. You can't actually listen to music on this, even though it does have speakers. You can attach a Bluetooth headphone to this and use that to listen to music. However, we found that within 10 songs, it would have dropped at least a couple of times. It's not the best Bluetooth solution, especially if you're particular about making sure you get the best sound quality possible. So, again, it just lets you control your iPhone music, which is, pretty good. You have to be within 20, 30 feet of the iPhone. That's what they say in order not to lose connection between the watch and the phone. So you've got 2 gigabytes of data that you can use in order to listen to music, to store music on this. It does have about 8 gigabytes free of memory, but you can put up to 2 gigabytes of music directly onto the phone. Next one that I have on here is the Activities. Then you've got your calendar, very, very basic. If you tap on it, you can go up and down. You can use Siri to make new calendar events. And next, now this is a very good app. It's called City Mapper. Anyone in London will probably have this. You can easily set on your phone where you want to go, and it will tell you if there's any disruptions along the way. It will tell you, where you need to get off, and it's a very, very useful app. Probably the most useful app on the iWatch at the moment. Then we've got Night Runner and how many percentage of battery you have left. Maps. We'll just wait for this to load up. Now, this is one annoying thing. Sometimes on this, the application will just load forever. It hasn't done so now, but you can use maps on this. Setting a location to go to with just your watch is, unless it's close to you, it's pretty difficult to do. Again, Siri on this probably won't recognize your voice in terms of spelling out addresses or anything like that, so you'll probably have to get your phone out for that and then pass it on to that. If you hold onto this button here, you can power off the device, and if you hold onto the Chrome button, you can use Siri. Now, just to test what that's like, let's try getting it to send a text message. Send a text to Al. Okay, so I said send the text to Al, and it found that I wanted to send the text to Al. It said send text to, and it said the full name. However, it's now trying to send a text to someone else. Someone else's name has come up at the top. So let's try and send a text to someone else. Okay, so let's try and send text to someone else now. If you get a text message, it comes up on your phone like this, on your watch like this, sorry. So if you get a text message, it comes up on your watch like this. Again, use the digitizer to scroll up and down. If we click reply, you've got the most basic replies here. Now you can actually set some of these up on the phone, so you can change these presets. Alternatively, you can tap to speak a message, and again, it doesn't get it right most of the time. So let me just try and, I don't know, send a basic one now. You can see how accurate it is. Do you fancy going to the cinema tomorrow night? Question mark. If so, let me know what film you'd like to watch. Wow, okay. So we'll cancel that. That actually worked pretty well, as you could see. I've had troubles with it in the past, but maybe it's because I was in a busier environment. If the room's quiet, it seems to work pretty well, so give them credit for that. The other thing that most people are going to be doing with this, I take it, getting emails. So let's go open an email. Okay, so let's just open an Amazon email. Now it says, this message contains elements Apple Watch can't display. You can read a text version below. We can see that there's various emails, so if we try and, we can read the emails pretty easily on here. However, the only problem is, it only gives you the option to unread, delete and flag the email. You can't actually reply to emails, which is a real shame. Which again, makes you need to get your phone out. So that's pretty annoying. Now the camera function on here, basically all it does is it connects to your iPhone camera and it lets you trigger your iPhone camera by pressing the button on here. So you'll be holding your camera in your hand to point it, but then you can press the button on the iWatch, which kind of makes me wonder why you would really need to do that, why you wouldn't just press the button on the phone. Not quite sure why, but the option is there if you want to do it. Instagram, an app that a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people are going to use. The problem we have with Instagram is also that it's very much like all the other applications on the watch. It's very limited in what you can actually do. You can view photos on the Instagram app, you can like photos, you can't leave comments, and that's a bit annoying. The photo application, you can choose, you can sync up to 75 megabytes worth of photos, you can zoom in and out of photos. So let's just go ahead and click on a photo here, and you can use the digitizer to zoom all the way in and all the way out. Again, your phone has to be within 30 feet of this device in order for it to work properly, which kind of makes me wonder why you wouldn't show someone that photo on here as opposed to show them the photo on there. Doesn't make too much sense to me why you'd want photos on such a tiny device, but the option is there. Now the screen is gorgeous, the screen is beautiful, I have no problems with the screen. The one thing I will say is it's a fingerprint magnet. I find myself constantly doing this in order to wipe away the fingerprints. And when you use the screen outdoors, the sun can be a bit of an issue. It is a reflective screen, but it's actually, it's actually usable. It's not that bad. In terms of other things, Apple Pay hasn't actually been set up here, so we can't use Apple Pay here. If we go to another one of my favourite apps here, Flipboard, we wait for this to open up. Let's hope it doesn't crash. Again, I mean, you could see how long it's taking on there. Let me just show you how long Flipboard will take on the iPhone. I mean, it's still loading on the iWatch. There. And on the iWatch, we're still waiting for the first story to come up. And we're still waiting. There we go. So, as you can see, most of the time I just find myself reaching for my phone because it just takes so long for these apps to work. And again, you get this annoying message down here. Continue reading on iPhone. Why? It's just plain text. Why can I not read more of the plain text? It just doesn't make sense to me. That's really annoying, and I hope they stop doing that with the applications. The amount of times I've had to get my iPhone out because I think to myself, well, it's pointless doing it on the watch because it's just going to end up annoying me and I'm going to have to get out my phone to do whatever I want to do properly anyway. CNN, so let's go ahead and open CNN. Let's just click on the top story here. We get literally 5-6 lines. We get 20-30 words and then we get the message, more on your iPhone. Why did I buy this if I want to constantly have to take out this to complete my tasks? It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it. This watch is slower than I thought it would be. It crashes continuously when I try to use applications. This sports strap is not the most comfortable strap in the world, and this design here, this glass here. It sits on your wrist, and I don't know if it's just me, but it makes my wrist pretty sweaty. You know, overall it has a beautiful display, but all the apps feel like they're not just cut down versions of the iPhone version, which I understand, which I expected, but they're severely cut down. The amount of apps that ask you to get out your phone to complete a task, to read more of a story. I mean, unless you want to see just headlines or like CNN, then you can't really, you know, on CNN, BBC News, you know, all these news applications, or even some of the sporting applications, unless you just want a really minute breakdown, it's going to ask you to get your phone out, which is really, really annoying. I mean, the thing is built beautifully. I'm not too sure about this glass design on the back. It doesn't sit too nicely on the wrist, and it makes a little sweat patch whenever I take it off. I do like the finish of it. It is a fingerprint magnet, and even the strap, just the natural oils from your hand will leave the strap with little marks on it. The battery life, I was actually pleasantly surprised with, because I used this watch a lot over the first couple of days, and the battery life actually lasted throughout the day all the time. A couple of times I went down to about 4 or 5% by the end of the day, but it lasted, and you put it on charge, it always charges by the morning, there's no issues there. So overall, the problems I have with this watch, such as no camera, no SIM card slot, so I have to have my phone with me everywhere I go in case I want to, you know, even if I go for a run, I have to have my phone with me if I don't want to miss calls or messages that may be important. Short battery life, it lasts 1 day. You know, all these problems are problems that other watches currently on the market for a lot less money do not have. There's already watches out there that let you insert a SIM card. There's watches out there with cameras on them, and there's a watch coming out very soon that's going to have a 30-day battery life, not one that can get you through a day, which will be a very welcome addition. I'm very impressed with the screen. I do like this product, but at £339, it feels like I should be getting a lot more. It can be sluggish at times. Some applications can just downright refuse to open at times. And a lot of what you do with this watch just feels way too cut down. It just feels like it's really, really basic version of what you'd get on your phone. And again, I expected that, I completely expected that, but not to this degree, not to the degree where I open a news application, after reading 4 or 5 lines, I'm told to grab my phone. It's a nice watch. If this was priced at £149, I would get one, but at £339, it just feels like you are paying way, way too much for what you're getting. A lot of the times you'll find yourself whipping out your iPhone because it's either too frustrating with the current firmware. Again, I'm sure with a firmware update they can fix a lot of the firmware issues, but the issues in terms of it being slow due to a slower processor, the issues of no camera, poor battery life, you know, needing your phone, no SIM card, these are all issues that I'm sure in the Apple Watch 2 will be fixed. So if you're going to buy this now, just be prepared that you're paying a very, very high price as far as what you're getting for a watch that's not the complete product. It feels like a beta to me most of the time, and by this time next year, I think these will be going for a quarter of the price on eBay, because I'm sure when the next revision comes out, you know, hopefully they'll put in the SIM card slot, or they'll put in the camera, or they'll give you the ability to do all the things that people are complaining about. They'll give you a much longer battery life. You know, if you're going anywhere for more than a day, you won't need to worry about taking another charger with you. So overall, my recommendation would be, for now, give this a miss. You know, at £339, you should not feel you're buying a product that's a first generation product. You should feel like you're buying, you know, a quality product that's something good to have and useful. And this is a very, very basic version of your iPhone. You need to have an iPhone to have this work, and more often than not, you'll find yourself doing what I'm doing, and that's, after the first couple of days, I just found myself grabbing my phone. For most things, I just found myself grabbing my phone, because I thought, why? Why should I take this? It just takes too long to do what I want to do with it. It doesn't have a keyboard, which, you know, this size of the screen is understandable, but it just takes too long to do what I'm going to do with it. Replying to text messages, emails, whatever, unless you're in a quiet room, you're not going to be able to do it. You can't even reply to emails on it. So you'll find yourself grabbing this so often that even after only a week with this watch, I already feel like I'm going to be putting it aside or giving it away as a gift to someone. I can't imagine. It's just too frustrating to use, and if the purpose of this watch was to stop me having to take my iPhone out of my pocket, they've failed at that, because a lot of what you want to do, you need to take out your iPhone. I hope you've enjoyed this review. I strongly recommend you get down to an Apple store, you try this out. You remember Apple have a 14-day returns policy, because I've been disappointed with it. I've had a few friends try it out. They've been pretty disappointed and surprised at how basic it is. And unfortunately, this is one thing. I'm a huge Apple fan. I love them. I love their laptops. I love some of the software they do are amazing. I've had my iPhone 5S since launch and I love it. But this is something they've gotten terribly wrong, if you ask me. They should have either waited and put in better technology when they figured out how to be able to squeeze in, better battery life, or put a camera in there, or more than anything, put a SIM tray in there. They should have figured out how to make applications on this run without needing to constantly refer you to your phone. Now, other popular applications such as WhatsApp, Facebook, you can get, you'll get a pop-up of a WhatsApp message on here. You can't reply to it. You can't do anything of that nature. Not even with Facebook. It will give you a Facebook notification like someone has commented on your wall, but you can't actually reply to any of it. There's no Facebook, there's no WhatsApp, and even if there was, I'm sure they'd be so basic that you wouldn't actually use it on your watch most of the time. You just end up using it on your phone. So let's take a look at, I'll show you an example. Let's take a look at the Twitter app. Okay, so if we see, I don't know who that is, it's not someone I follow, but if we see on one of the Twitter posts here, you can't actually click, unless the picture is directly within it, such as BBC News, you can't actually click on links. You can't actually open any links in Twitter, whether it's a picture, whether it's to send you to an article. Again, a lot of the times on Twitter you get you get pictures, things of that nature, but you can't actually do it with that, so you end up using your phone. And the Uber application on this is pretty good. Let's go to the Uber application on here. Now you can easily request a taxi. It tells you how far away it is, gives you a picture of the driver, and it comes to where you are. Unfortunately, again, another application where I found myself when I was wanting to use it, I got my iPhone out. Why? Because you can't set the destination on your iWatch. You have no idea how much it's going to cost you to get to your location. The taxi driver could make it up on the spot. With this, you can set your destination and it will tell you roughly how much the cab fare is going to cost. Once again, you find yourself taking out the phone, which kind of makes you wonder why you have the watch on your wrist. So far, whether it's an email, whether you're using Uber, whether you're using BBC News to read an article, whether you want to post something on Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever, you need to get your phone back out constantly. And that's the problem I have with this, is you constantly need to get your phone out to do a lot of the stuff that you should be able to do with your watch. WhatsApp and Facebook haven't made an application for it yet. I'm sure they will. But even with Skype, why can I not initiate a call through the watch? It doesn't make sense to me. BBC News, why do I have to read 4 lines and then get my phone out to read the rest of the lines? It's only text. I don't understand that. This can clearly display pictures, but with Twitter you can't actually view pictures. You can't reply to emails. There's just so much wrong with the applications at the moment. And again, it's early days. I'm sure they're going to sort out a lot of this, and I'm sure they're going to sort out a lot of the crashing and stuff. But that continue reading on your iPhone or continue activity on your iPhone is really, really annoying. I would strongly recommend this watch if it costs £149. For £339, this item is incomplete. It felt like a beta. A lot of the times while I was using it, the amount of times applications crash on this, the amount of times that I have to get out my phone when I don't necessarily want to. I was going to order a taxi the other night. With this, it gave me no indication as to how much the price was, so I had to get out my phone in order to be able to put my destination, which I couldn't do on the app. There's just so much on here that if you want to do, you either need to get out your phone or you just simply can't do at the moment. Battery life, if I go out for a night and I forget my charger at home, it's dead by the next day. There's already technology for smartwatches where the battery's going to last 30 days, and that'll be out very soon. No camera, no SIM card slot, and if like me you're a runner and you're really excited about having a watch that will allow you to run lighter, you know, you can leave your phone at home and you can have your watch. You'll be disappointed because you won't have GPS, and you'll also have a highly inaccurate heart rate monitor, and you'll be lucky if the watch doesn't crash on you and just lose all your data as you go along. I'm sure a lot of the problems I said can be sorted out by firmware, and I'm sure they will be. However, the shortcomings such as having no SIM card slot, the shortcomings of no camera, the shortcomings of a poor battery life, these are all things that, unless you're desperate, wait for the next revision. Wait for the next revision of the iWatch is my advice. That's my final conclusion, is wait for the next one, because if you pay for this, you very, very much will feel it. And at £339 for this watch, you should not feel like you're buying a first generation product. You pay £339 for this, you feel like you have bought a first generation product. And to me, that's a sign that Apple have got this wrong.